Okay, hello and welcome to the first lecture in the first unit, and this lecture is on the rhetorical tools. Now before I begin, I'll have to define a few key terms. The first one is text, and you can actually see our text here in the middle of the screen. Text is anything that's been created in order to communicate. So there are many different types of texts. You've got video texts, visual texts, auditory texts. But in this class, we're going to be focusing primarily on the written text. The second concept is rhetoric. And rhetoric is the ability to use language in order to persuade. That's the simple definition, but it's going to be all that we really need in this first unit. And the rhetorical tools, as a related concept, are essentially a set of tools that we use in order to dissect rhetoric, the rhetoric in a text, and see how it works. In the same way that you would dissect a frog in biology class in order to see how it works. You look at all of the different body systems and organs and how they interact, and that allows you to understand how the whole living creature lives and how it functions. It's the same with the rhetorical tools. We use them in order to dissect the rhetoric in a text and better understand how that rhetoric works. And again, how it works to advance its argument or to persuade, which is what rhetoric does. So there are 6 rhetorical tools, and really they're in 2 sets of 3. The first one you can see before you. This is called the rhetorical triangle, traditionally, and it's made up of the 3 rhetorical tools: author, audience, and purpose. And they surround the text. You can see that they're in a triangle around the text, and the reason for this is because the rhetorical triangle allows us to give to take a look at the context that surrounds the text. The forces or the ideas or the different variables that influence the text from the outside. And by understanding that context better, we're better able to understand the text itself. If you've ever heard of the concept of triangulation, it's kind of the same thing, where you find 3 points around something in order to locate it better. So if we can fully kind of analyze all 3 corners of the rhetorical triangle, we will have a better understanding of the text by looking at its context. So there are the three concepts are 100% equal and equivalent, and that's why they're in an equilateral triangle if you're visualizing it. But I always begin with author because it's just probably the most familiar of the 3. And that's because for a text to exist, for this book to be sitting on a table in front of you, someone had to write it at some point. So obviously there's at least one factor affecting that text, and that's the person that created it. So when we look at the author corner of the triangle, we ask ourselves, who created the text? What do we know about them? And that can take many different forms: their reputation, their education, their work experience, even their family history, other works they've created. All of these things factor into our interpretation of the rhetoric of that one book sitting there on the table. What do we know about the author? Well, as you can see, this lecture is going to be in 5-minute pieces, so I'll see you in the next piece.